What is going on? You're checking out the RCWR Show, dropping Monday night of April 27, 2020. Lee Sanders here. What's going on, guys? Not too much of a bad episode of Raw. Yeah, give or take. But one thing, I could have sworn, and if I'm a little bit confused, maybe I'm not the only one, but I could have sworn it was advertised that Triple H was going to be appearing on tonight's Raw. I could have sworn before the weekend was out, leading into tonight's Raw, that is what was advertised. We all know without a shadow of doubt that when this was being promoted, Triple H, 25 years in the WWE, when it was being hyped up, we were told it was going to be a two-night extravaganza that was going to begin on SmackDown and would continue on Raw. And I could have sworn, because I did watch SmackDown. You guys know, because we did do a special Friday night edition of the RCWR Show. That was exclusive to YouTube, by the way. We didn't make the audio version of that available on demand and on the downloads. But I could have sworn we heard before SmackDown was out that Triple H was going to be appearing on Monday's Raw. So I gotta tell you, I was kind of looking forward to seeing Triple H come out. And I won't say, if you ask me what was my wishful thinking as far as Triple H coming out again, this time on Raw, I was looking for something more sentimental. I was looking for something more monumental. I was looking for something that would be a bit more meaningful than what we had got on SmackDown. Don't get me wrong, it was nice seeing the cameos by Ric Flair, Road Dogg Jesse James, Stephanie, Vince coming out there. I see that has a lot of people talking, by the way. The appearance that Vince McMahon made, where a lot of people were just, man, what's going on with the old man? The old man doesn't seem as though he has that same kind of energy that he normally does. He kind of just seems as though he's been gutted, he's defeated. What's going on with him? A lot of people were really giving mixed reactions towards what was going on with McMahon's appearance on SmackDown, and they were getting all psychoanalytical, getting all Dr. Philish and everything. I just really took it for what it was worth, and for me, my 2 cents from a distance, it came off as if maybe the segment was just supposed to be a pure comedic segment, and Vince McMahon coming out there for everything that he had served during that segment. I didn't read anything more or less than what I was getting from McMahon. Like how he had the little dig there about Bayley, this is your life, making fun of that, but also going on record saying it wasn't Bayley's fault that segment bombed, which is very true, damn true. But I gotta tell you, I was looking forward to seeing Triple H come out tonight, and even though we didn't get that, we pretty much just got the video highlights from essentially what we saw on SmackDown. A lot of those top 10 countdowns that they had tonight, those were segments we saw on SmackDown, so it was no different. But overall, SmackDown tonight, I would say they did relatively okay. I'll definitely give them a little bit of props for what they had there tonight. Now, I did ask you guys, I have a poll that's up right now. I got 2 polls. One is on Twitter and the other one is on YouTube. If you have both, just pick one and vote that way. But I mainly like hearing from both sides. So the Twitter poll, by the way, at the RCWR Show, asking you guys, what did you think of tonight's WWE RAW? We'll take another look at it later on in the show, but right now, with early results coming in, I'm seeing that 17% of you are giving Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 83% of you are giving it a thumbs up. I repeat, 83% are giving tonight's Raw a thumbs up. 17% are giving Raw a thumbs down. Meanwhile, heading on over there to the YouTube channel, you vote that way. For those of you that do not have Twitter, head over to youtube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the communities tab and you'll find the newest poll. By the way, speaking of polls, appreciate you guys that cast your vote on the poll that we let be up for over a week. They're asking you all, what would you like to see happen with regards to the Wednesday night show. And decent amount of you guys, from what I'm seeing here, voting is still relatively early, but I see. And if you haven't voted, you can go over there and cast your vote as well. It's not going to be a case where you're doing endless scrolling. You'll be able to see it off the break. But we have 62% of you that are saying, hey, you coming on Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern? That's fine with me. I will make the effort to check it out live. And sure enough, that's the time that we came on last Wednesday. And essentially, you guys that voted that, y'all represented, you popped up. So appreciate that. Meanwhile, 31% of you had preferred it if I did a show just on my next day off from work. 8% actually wanted for there to be a audio show only, available on demand and on the downloads to check out. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But early results on YouTube right now for tonight's Raw, I am seeing right now the show gets a thumbs down. So if you disagree with that, take your pick, Twitter or YouTube, cast your vote, and probably after we get done talking about Raw for tonight, just a couple of key bullet points, not doing a full blown Raw recap. Just want to talk about some key points that caught my eye. Definitely mention a couple of little tidbits as well. I definitely want to talk about the WWE Q1 earning reports for this calendar year, because I've yet to get an opportunity to sit down and talk about it and everything. So we got a nice, good show that's lined up for you guys tonight. So Raw this week, I would say it was a so-so. It was an okay episode. Given circumstances, it was an okay episode. I tell you what, I did not appreciate seeing the show open up with MVP in the MVP Lounge. I was a big fan of MVP and the MVP Lounge back in the day and everything, and I gotta tell you, it's as much as I love MVP, the man that portrays MVP. I like his origins. I like everything that he's doing and giving back to his community and everything, and I like all of that. But if I gotta be candid, what's been happening with MVP this go round that he's been back in the WWE, I'm just not. It's not clicking for me. It's not clicking for me from the standpoint of, I'll give you a perfect analogy. It's almost, with regards to watching MVP, it's almost as if we're watching an old relic from a previous era, and it's just not able to do a really good job in fitting the needs and the wants for today's modern times. You get where I'm coming from? So we've seen so many of our favorite characters over the years, especially in the WWE universe. We've seen so many characters over the years that have done a really good job in staying ahead of the curve and doing their very best to stay relevant, adapting with the times. If they've needed to freshen up their character in any type of way, they've been able to do that. Kane has been a really good example of that. Undertaker, a damn good example of that. Matt Hardy being a good example. Chris Jericho, of all people, even though he's essentially, he's no longer a WWE. When you just stop and think about all the different incarnations we saw of Jericho over the years. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, even Triple H to a certain degree. We would hear all night just going over certain people, but those names really jump out to me the most right now. And then you look at a guy such as MVP, and when he first came to the scene and everything about it, it fit that time. It fit that era quite perfectly, I felt. But when you fast forward to today, sadly, MVP just on his own. Just on his own. Now, I may come off like I'm shitting on that, and I am, because to basically open things up with MVP and the MVP Lounge, I felt that he was talking a lot longer than what was necessary, right down to the point. I got to be honest with you, even though this was a talking segment in which he was having Aleister Black come out, Rey Mysterio come out, who else? Apollo Crews. God, it feels like I'm missing somebody else that was in there. But when it's all said and done, he's setting this segment up to introduce these guys and talking to them about what it would mean for them for Money in the Bank to happen. I got to tell you, I was very disinterested in that. Very disinterested in that. And right down to the point, I stayed with the segment just long enough to see Zelina Vega along with Andrade, Austin Theory. Was able to see all those guys come out. Okay, see where this is going. This is going to set up a tag match. Okay, I get it. Man, I went downstairs. I made myself a tuna sandwich from scratch. I didn't do the Mark Warner crap. I know Mark Warner, the Virginia governor, I think it is. I know he's trending right now for the way he poorly had made a tuna melt sandwich. No. When I decide I want to make myself a tuna sandwich, I actually do it from scratch. I take the cans. I get the mayo. I all that. I get all the usual stuff, I make it, it's quite good. I never get any complaints. Sometimes I'll make it with egg. Other times I won't make it without egg. Tonight I felt like making it without the eggs. I do that. I wash dishes. I use the bathroom. I do my recyclables. I do a load of laundry. I come back. And we still got these characters on TV. I thought we'd have been moved on from them. And I just was kind of, well, at least it's a case where MVP is no longer talking in the ring. Now, look, I will give WWE this much as far as props go. I like the fact that now we've got MVP who's basically siding himself with young up-and-coming talents. I do like that. If you ever needed to get certain young guys over, new to your roster and everything, you're trying to figure out, okay, so who can we get to kind of slide in here, take these guys under their wings and, do their best to really be the mouthpiece for these guys, really help, get these guys over and everything. I do like the fact that later on during the same episode / broadcast, MVP was seen with those guys. What was it? Shane Thorne and what's the other guy's name? Shane Thorne and his tag partner. Forgive me. I got to see the other guy enough times to really get his name down. Viper, not Viper, Viper. Some Fink, some silly little name. Every time I hear his name, I just chuckle when I hear his freaking name. But he's basically representing them now. As these guys were the same guys that lost to the team of Ricochet and who's the other guy? Ricochet and Cedric Alexander from last week's Raw. And they basically felt that the defeat that they took last week was a fluke. And so they want a rematch. So kind of under the impression right now that rematch is going to be going down on next Monday's WWE RAW, which is all right. But yeah, actually, while I'm looking in the notes here, because I do have some show notes, let me actually see if I can give that guy props, the guy that I'm thinking of here. Just give me a second here, and I can actually tell you guys. Yeah, Thorne and Vink. That's what it is, Vink. That's the guy I'm thinking of. So we saw them later on in the night with MVP via Titantron, basically challenging Cedric Alexander and Ricochet to a rematch. Ricochet, Alexander accepting the terms. So I'm assuming we're going to be seeing that go down on next Monday's WWE RAW. But, at this point, if you want to go ahead and you want to have MVP in there, I mean, look, they got to limit the times that MVP is just out there by himself talking. But, I mean, if you just have him talk for about 2 minutes and you just pretty much let him jump right into the other main attractions, I'm okay with that. But for tonight, call me a stickler for detail. I just felt that tonight with the opening of Raw, I felt that they gave him a bit too much mic time and that it really needed to go to the other guys making the point and setting up the first match of the night. So after a commercial break, we did end up seeing Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews taking on and defeating Angel Garza, Andrade, and Austin Theory. Max actually went a couple of seconds. Actually, was a decent opening matchup. I definitely got to give it props. It was a decent opening matchup. Now, the next one. This was supposed to be a match. It was hyped up. Pretty much felt like during the first segment of Raw, it had opened up and everything. Yeah, Purple, I would say, going back one more time before we move on with the card, as far as that first opening match, it was a bit too long. Like I said, I was able to do all of that stuff that I was able to do. I'm good, brother. I'm good, brother. Hope you and the family been well. It was a good match, but anytime I can do all the stuff that I said that I was able to do and come back, and essentially the guys that I saw for the very first opening segment, almost a half hour later, we're still on this. Yeah, that is a little bit too long. The match was okay, though. I'll say that much. The match was okay, but they got to trim the fat a little bit when it comes to that. Now, the next matchup, Nia Jax taking on Asuka, taking on Shayna Baszler, triple threat match. This was weird because this match was hyped up, so you're going, oh, okay, it's going to be a triple threat match. And you remember some of the comments that Nia Jax has been making about Ronda Rousey and everything. You're kind of looking at this matchup and you're saying to yourself, honestly, well, I hope that Nia Jax doesn't catch a couple of oopsies by Shayna Baszler, because after all, when it's all said and done, accidents will happen. Now, that's the new terminology we got to go with now, because so many people, whenever the Bellas, there's an accident. Whenever, Tamina, whenever insert whatever name, it's just an accident. And it's like, okay, but this person keeps having these accidents tally up. And some of us, I've gone to task on some people, and some have felt, the respective fans of those people have felt that I was being a bit too harsh on some of their said favorite superstars and all that. So now I just chalk it up whenever something fucking devastating goes down. Well, accidents happen, but this was a case right here where I was kind of hoping that maybe Shayna would pull a oopsie at some point in this match against Nia. And here's what was weird here. This match never did officially kick off. We never did get a referee to call for the bell. We didn't get any of that. Nia Jax makes her appearance. Shayna makes her appearance. I forget who did what to who first, but basically, if I remember it right, Nia Jax, I believe she met somebody outside of the ring. I'm trying to remember who she met, but it was the shortest, less than 3 minutes of all of these women that you'll ever experience in your life, because the end result was basically Nia Jax grabbing a ladder. She's inside the ring. She grabs a ladder, picks that bad boy up, heaves that bad boy over the ropes, and it lands on Asuka and freaking Shayna Baszler. There's still no referee, and yet Nia Jax music comes on, and you're going, okay, so what the hell just happened here? Stickler for detail, that was, of all the matches tonight, that was by far the dumbest fucking segment that I saw tonight. That was a disservice to all three of those women. I get the point that WWE was trying to make, which was these women, in their own respected right, they're very strong. Some of them are just downright nasty. They're downright vicious. They're awesome brawlers in their own respected right. Each one of these women brings something to the table respectfully. All of these women, former women's champions and everything. I get that. So just having those three names on paper and saying to the fans at home that these women are going to be in action, I get that. You don't really need to do that much selling of this type of match to the fans. But when you have this play out the way that it did, and there's never a referee that's seen, the bell doesn't ring, none of that shit, and basically this match ends by fucking music playing, for me that was just stupid on so many levels. There really should have been a referee, a few WWE officials that should have been out there trying to get things in order. You take a commercial break, you come on back. Hey, we've regained everything. We've been able to maintain order here. We got all the girls in their respective corners. Now we're going to go on ahead and we're going to officially start this match now. That would have been nice. That would have been nice to get. Just all about maintaining order. If you're going to do that stupid little spot with the ladder, my whole thing is, well, if you're going to do it, take the commercial break while the officials and everybody comes out, try to maintain order, then come back. Order has been restored so that the match can officially start. Then you do your thing with this match, and if the ladder spot is still gonna happen, do the spot with the ladder, but at least have a fucking referee that's right there that can assess the situation outside of the ring with Shayna and frickin' Asuka to figure out if they can even continue on with the match. And 1, 2, and if you gotta count to 10, both girls get counted out. Frickin' Nia wins by count out, okay, then so be it. But the way this just was panned out was just stupid as hell. Stupid. I would have preferred it if it would have been the case where, honestly, these girls didn't even make it into the ring. I would have preferred it if it would have been a case where one of the girls' entrance themes plays, nobody comes out. Then they tried to go to the next girl, let her music play to try to buy the first girl some time. And then that girl's music doesn't play. Okay, well then can we queue up girl number 3? Girl number 3's music doesn't play. Okay, being told, you could have had Tom Phillips and them being told that there's actually something going on backstage. We actually got a camera back there. Let's see if we can cut back there and see what's going on. We're going to see all 3 of these girls brawling backstage, taking it out to the freaking outside grounds. I'd have been okay with that. And still have I'd have been okay with that. But for what they did tonight, man, nah, no mas. I can't go for that. Sorry, no can do. Can't go for that. Stupid as fuck. So yeah, that gets the lowest grade for me. Of all the matches tonight, that one gets the lowest grade of the night, because that was just, and I'm a stickler for detail. Lashley, squash match, taking on Denzel and defeating Denzel DeJournay, beat him via pinfall. This is a continuation of the Lana Lashley storyline there. Lashley saying to Lana right before he went out there for the match, hey, he played it off rather smoothly too. Baby, you know how much I love and appreciate you. You're so goddamn hot when you're out there at ringside, I'm doing my thing, and then I just see you out the corner of my eyes, and I just get cue me up an Anita Baker song, Caught Up in the Rapture of Love, right? That's basically what Lashley was trying to say to Lana. He played it off rather smoothly when seemed like he was trying to be real the first go around, and saw kind of the psychotic cracks start to come about in Lana, and then switch the game and basically, oh, but you're so beautiful, your legs, your banging body, just you feel where I'm coming from, and like, oh yeah, I get it. So Lashley was actually able to go on out here, squash DeJournay. I mean, DeJournay, what kind of name is that? Denzel DeJournay. I mean, it sounds like something you put in a freaking sandwich, or something on your Reuben, or your Reuben sandwich or something. You're just kicking back and the waiter just comes up to you. Hey, welcome. What would you like to eat? Well, let me get some potato wedges, and I'll take a DeJournay. Yeah, how would you like that DeJournay? Raw? No, actually, you know what? Give it to me medium. Give it to me medium. Medium rare. And lettuce, tomatoes, onions. I mean, it sounds like something like that, or something you put on your chicken, or some shit like that. That was just, yeah, squash right there. So obviously, at some point, we're gonna get to a part in the storyline where Lashley somehow comes clean, whether it's inadvertently, and which I think is the route that we're really going to be going, because I can almost picture it. I don't know who it is, But I can almost picture Lashley continuing to do this with Lana, where she's backstage, and he gets about maybe 3-4 wins under his belt. I could almost see a case where there is a critical match that comes about, where if Lashley wins it, he'll be in bragging rights to maybe be a contender for, you know, whatever championship. I won't say the world, but you get where I'm going with this. And if he wins that particular match, he's pretty much in the discussion. Maybe he even is gonna be a number one contender. But I could see a case where Lana, just when it seems Lashley has this in the books, she comes out there trying to lend that morale support, and it fucking backfires. And Lashley is about to, either he blows the fuck up on Lana, or, he kind of diffuses the situation by the two of them just kind of, give me some space. Let me be right now. I'm pretty hot headed over what had went down. Maybe he's talking to said superstar backstage, about the whole Lana deal. Man, she keeps fucking up my mojo. Lana sees this back. Maybe that's how the shit goes. I can almost see, just verbatim, some type of an outline like that going down. Mark my words on that. It really is how it feels. The story arc is going to be going. I just don't know who the opponent is that Lashley is going to have that one match where he can be in the bragging rights for, okay, number one contender for this. But you can see this a mile away. If you really just take a step back, you can almost see this a mile away. Liv Morgan, dear God, once in action again against Ruby Riott. It's the match that honestly nobody really cares about. I know I personally don't. This match, barely 3 minutes, and I just couldn't help but say to myself, I wonder how many times not Lashley. I wonder how many times Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott have been going at it, because it feels like this has been going on for an eternity. So I actually did a little bit of research here, because that's what we do from time to time. On the RCWR Show, we do a little bit of research, find out what's good. Check this out. So everything pretty much began February 3rd of this year, where Sarah Logan, no longer with the company, was the special referee as Liv Morgan defeated Ruby Riott. Remember that? Then you had March 8th of this year, Raw Women's title, number one contendership elimination chamber there. Shayna Baszler defeated Asuka, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan. Then you go to April 20th. Liv Morgan defeated Ruby Riott. Then tonight, you've got Liv defeating Ruby. I could have sworn Ruby did get a win over Liv. I could have sworn she did, but as it stands right now, that's the entire history. So basically, going back to February to now. So for some people, you can kind of make the argument, for some people, well, that hasn't really been that long. But then for others, like me, that every single time you turn around, no, just stop this. It's not good. Fans, honestly, we knew before the pandemic really broke out and no fans were allowed to come to the arenas, we already, how we were feeling is pretty much how fans live in attendance were feeling. They didn't care about this. And yet we continued in some shape or form. But the way that they tried to tell this story tonight with these girls, especially with Liv coming out on top against Ruby Riott once again, is that this is it. This feud, this rivalry, it's now in the past. Liv is on to the future. And that's all fine and dandy. I could be a bigger supporter of Liv Morgan. I could be a bigger fan of hers if WWE just does one fucking thing. I touched upon this a couple of weeks ago. I gotta see if I can actually dig up the audio and maybe make it be a show excerpt. They gotta do something with that music. They got to do something with that music. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. The audio is definitely worth going out of your way to check out, because if I can remember which episode it is, I will make that be a show excerpt on the YouTube channel. They gotta do something with that music though, because it's fucking killing me, man. It's fucking killing me, her goddamn music. But she's as cute as a button. I cannot deny that. I cannot deny that. Yeah, sometimes I just look at her and I say to myself, I can't believe Enzo Amore was hitting that. And what I mean by that is I don't even want to think about Liv Morgan having sex with Enzo, but I just kind of think, girl, you know you like this D. Come on now. Who's got the good D for? It's like, damn. I don't mean to go in that direction, but anyways, let's keep rocking and rolling here. Jinder Mahal made his return. Remember, he was out due to injury. He's got a new haircut. He's got a buzz cut that's going on right now. A lot of people were kind of crapping on the new haircut. I don't have a problem with the haircut. For me, I was tripping over how's Jinder gonna look now that he's returning. He's still ripped as hell, and I love this serious demeanor that he had. He was in a squash match against somebody. The opponent that he defeated was Akira Tozawa. Let's take a pause real quick. Other than the opening match, which went almost 30 minutes long, just listen to the timestamps for some of these other matches here. 2 minutes and change, 90 seconds, 3 minutes, 90 seconds, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. So, I mean, when you add all this up, we essentially got 6, 8, 9, 31, 45. We got about almost an hour of in-ring action. When you add it all up, we got about an hour of in-ring action. Just marinate on that for a second. We got an hour of in-ring action. Now, for those that did not watch WWE RAW tonight, you may say, well, Lee, if we only had essentially, when you add up everything, an hour of in-ring action, how many matches is that total? By my notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 matches. I'm counting that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I've got 7 matches. And yet, when you add it all up, roughly an hour. If you're lucky, definitely, I would say max. I'd be shocked if I heard an hour, 5 minutes. But from what I'm seeing right now, what I'm estimating at least an hour. And it's a 3-hour show. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say, man. United States Championship match. Andrade defeating Apollo Crews. This match, for what it was worth, this actually was a good match. This match stopped due to referee stoppage. As at one point during the match, storyline, by the way, nothing legitimate, but storyline, Apollo Crews did this stunt where he's outside of the ropes, going for a high risk, high reward maneuver. Wasn't able to catch Andrade, lands on his feet, but basically his leg buckled out on him. And the story that the commentators tried to sell was he landed wrong there, and Andrade pretty much smelling the blood, doing everything he could to go for that leg afterwards. Action eventually goes back inside the ring. A couple of more minutes. Referee at one point checks in on Apollo, who's still down, realizes there's no way Apollo can continue on with this match. Referee is the one that actually stops the match. And so Andrade retains the title that way. A little bit later on, we see, I believe it's Charlie Caruso catch up with Apollo, get his thoughts on what all had happened. Apollo has no words. He's just crying and everything. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem that I have. Here's the problem that I have with this. Here's the problem that I have with this. And this goes to what Vince McMahon had said during the Q1 earnings conference call from last week, which is he talked about how, you know, the slight dip in the numbers, ratings, and everything for the shows is that, in his estimation, and this was really publicly for the very first time, Vince McMahon just totally being honest, I personally felt, with not just the investors, but with the media and everything, where, and I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said, hey, you know, the biggest problem that we're having right now is that a lot of these guys that's on our roster for our fans, they're not established enough. You know, our fans don't really know these people. So, you know, we are taking the task right now and really breaking these guys in. Okay. All right. We'll talk a little bit more about the conference Q1 earnings and everything. But, okay. Be that as it may, we go to a guy like Cedric, or actually not Cedric Alexander. I'm thinking of Apollo Crews there. Apollo Crews hasn't even been back on the flagship show that long. Think about that for a second. I don't know how many other podcasters are going in this direction, but just stay with me. Apollo Crews was drafted, my God, it doesn't even feel like a month and a half ago that he was drafted back to Raw. Remember that? We talked about it on this show, and basically in storyline, some of these people's contracts were getting ready to come up for renewal. So as a result, it was going to make them become a free agent. And as a result of that, they pretty much could have a say in where they would like to go. So in storyline, Apollo Crews wanted to come on back to the Raw flagship show. And I remember we were right here on this show talking about how, hey, not for nothing, but this isn't the first time that Apollo has been on Raw. So if out of the gate you're telling fans at home that Cedric Alexander is out here and he's got something to prove, and that, you know, he feels that with all the time that has passed since he's been in the WWE, now more than ever he's hungry, or he's got a fire, he's got that desire, he's got that passion. Okay, well then tell that story. Tell that fucking story. But when Apollo Crews doesn't even have at least 10 episodes of Raw under his belt so that that connection can be made to the fans, and I'm not getting on Apollo Crews. This is not his fault. This is not his fault. I'm sure if he was able to talk candidly without any repercussions, he'd tell you the same thing that I'm telling you, which is it's kind of stupid how they're laying out this story arc with him right now, because he doesn't even have 10 episodes of Raw under his belt, and he's already put in this story arc where, you know, something bad has happened to his knee, his leg, or whatever, and we, the people at home, are supposed to give a fuck about that, when I'm sorry, that's not going to work. That's not going to resonate. I'm sure many people took little fun comedic jabs, and I'm supposed to give a fuck because what? You know, and I get it. I get it on so many levels, but this is part of the problem. That's not the route to go. That is just not the route to go. Instead, you know, if you really wanted for fans to get behind Apollo Crews, you know, if anything, this is what I don't understand. And this is where there's such great inconsistency here. You know, we've seen Andrade do some pretty low things to retain his championship, or just to his opponent. So that being the case, where was the mean streak from freaking Andrade in storyline. And it's not Andrade's fault. Again, this is all on the writers. Where is that mean streak coming from Andrade where he doesn't give a damn what the referee says? He's coming. He's continuing to attack Apollo. Grab a steel chair, whatever, does even more work on that leg. And if you want to quietly take Apollo Crews out for a little bit, then I'm okay with that. This is the thing. This isn't about, because we could be here and we could talk about, well, this storyline should happen and this should happen and all this other crap. What I'm picking up right now is that WWE is trying to have Apollo Crews be that, we want you to root for this babyface. We want you to get behind this guy. We want you to support the hell out of him. Look at what happened here with this match against Andrade and how he was so close to, capturing a title here and look at everything. And I get that. I get that cold-heartedly. But I think the bigger story, and I've always been a sucker for this, you've heard me say this over the years, which is the chase is better than the catch. And in most cases it is. It really is. So in this instance, the chase is better than the catch. Okay, if you want for people to really get behind Apollo Crews, basically in a nutshell, I don't like the tactics that WWE used this week to try and tell that story. I'm not getting a vibe contrary to how Seymour feels about, maybe they're going to turn Apollo. No, what I saw tonight was a babyface Apollo Crews with what we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks with Apollo Crews is it's been a babyface Apollo Crews gets this great opportunity against Andrade for the title, and the weird shit and storyline goes down with his leg, and he's essentially very hard on himself. He's beating himself up. Meanwhile, Andrade is relatively still intact, but remember, this is the same Andrade we saw some weeks back that was willing to freaking take his boy, what's dude's name? I haven't seen him in a minute. The White Ranger, Humberto Carrillo. He was willing to take that freaking dude, remove the mat from the freaking outside the ring, and exposed concrete. He was willing to do that, but we saw tides had turned and Humberto ended up doing it to him. But we've seen many times since Andrade's been on the roster that, nah, man, I'm going to do any and everything, whatever dirty little tactics, if Zelina has to get involved, whatever. And the one time Andrade smells freaking blood, he doesn't freaking go in for the kill. He actually allows the referee to check in on Crews, and it's just when you stop and you think about the little things, the fine details, stuff like that is one of the many reasons that fans continue to have headaches with the WWE and why they ultimately say, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check out some other promotions. That's just the honest truth when it's all said and done. Let's see. Ricochet, Cedric Alexander defeating Everrise. Decent tag match. That one, about 5 minutes, if you were lucky, of change there. Nice little match there. Honestly, for me, and I didn't forget about the contract signing. We also had the contract signing there between Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. I'm sorry, you've seen, these contract signings. You've seen one, you've seen them all. So forgive me, I can't really get that all excited about the contract signing that we got tonight. But, for what it was worth, I think they're going to have a good match, though. Just because I wasn't really feeling the contract signing match, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be feeling the match that's going to be happening next Sunday. And it's hard to believe that Money in the Bank is next Sunday. We're off of WrestleMania, and here we are. We're going into another pay-per-view here. It just doesn't feel pay-per-viewish right now. I was talking about this with John Draper earlier tonight in a brief tweet exchange. I said I just don't get it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just does not feel like pay-per-view mode right now. It just feels lucid. So I think that's the best term I can use. It just feels very, very lucid right now. But Drew, I did get one answer though to a question I've had for the past couple of weeks. Viking Raiders, I don't see more all these, but I don't give a fuck about the Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders and their little thing, and they're feuding with who is it? They're feuding with the Raw Tag Champions and the Street Profits. You know, yeah, again, this isn't a full-blown Raw recap. I only am interested in talking about things that kind of caught my eye, be it good, bad, little indifferent. You know, I don't want to be on here. Raw came to us from, nobody in attendance, and then this person did this match, this maneuver, and this person did that maneuver, and this had happened, and I'm not going through, no. The days of that have been long gone for weeks now. I'm not doing that shit on this show. No. We're going to be in, out, keep it rocking, keep it rolling. One thing that we did talk about, and I got to be consistent here. Past couple of weeks on the show, I've been saying what is going on with Seth Rollins and his disciples. What's going on with AOP? What's going on with Buddy Murphy? And if you remember, I want to say it was last week's show. I'm actually going to start making little bullet notes for my own personal use. That way, if I mention something, I can easily just from here on out refer to it rather than say, I think it was last week. But I'm almost confident last week I brought up Buddy Murphy. And I remember saying something along the lines of Buddy Murphy, when he came out, you still saw for his entrance with the Titantron, you saw the Seth Rollins stained glass stuff, like from a church, basically. And so you go, okay, so he's still part of the stable, okay. And my whole thing was, it'd be nice if Charlie or whoever backstage could run up to these guys in storyline, find out what's going on. Are they still part of Seth's entourage? What exactly is the deal? Well, tonight, during the contract signing between McIntyre and Rollins coming in with a cheap attack after signing the contract for this match and everything. Drew getting the upper hand. But Buddy Murphy came in, tried to ambush freaking McIntyre. And you're thinking, oh, okay, so here's the numbers game yet again. But officially, Rollins does have his disciples. Oh, okay, so that's been now answering my question that I've had off and on the past couple of weeks. But Drew getting the upper hand there on freaking Buddy Murphy, laying him out as Seth Rollins, looking on and shit. So no AOP just yet. That's the point that I want to make. No AOP just yet. No AOP just yet. But regardless of that, it was nice to see, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what's going on here. I'm all fine with that. One big bright spot I do want to point out for Raw tonight was seeing the return of not Apollo Crews. I don't know why I was thinking about Apollo just now. But with regards to Samoa Joe, it was nice to see Samoa Joe. Remember Samoa Joe, he had violated the wellness policy, so he was gone for a little bit. But Samoa Joe, back once again, but this go round on commentating. And that was something before the end of the world as we know it went down. That was something that unanimously we all did agree upon. Take your pick all throughout social media, Reddit and everything. We all agreed that with regards to freaking Samoa Joe on commentating, he was awesome. I definitely went on record on this show and said whenever he decides he wants to hang it up for good, then he's got a bright career ahead of him as far as being a color commentator and everything. So it was nice seeing Samoa Joe back at commentating. Loved it. Honestly, for me, seeing Samoa Joe back, hearing Samoa Joe at color commentating, the 3 hours for me, and I gotta tell you, this was another consecutive week where this was another consecutive week where I felt that I was, you know what I say, you know what I mean when I say I'm going through the motions of Monday Night Raw. And normally when I say I'm going through the motions of Monday Night Raw, I'm finding myself, I have Raw playing in the background, but I'm also doing other things. I'm not totally just, okay, tablets down, this is down, this is down, and I'm just focused on. And these past couple of Raws, I've been feeling that way. However, with this week, to hear Samoa Joe, I will say I was doing less of what I would normally do, tablet, whatever. I'm doing less of that, and I am looking up at the screen more, paying attention. I'm taking in what Samoa Joe is saying. It's refreshing. Now, I know we're going to have some people that want to speculate and they want to give their theories on Samoa Joe at commentating, Jerry Lawler, and what people felt were controversial comments, and what he had said. What was the ramen noodle thing or whatever? And I don't see, that's the thing. I don't deal with speculation. If you notice, when I do these shows, I do my best to not deal with speculation. I deal with to the best of my ability, I try to deal with facts. And once in a blue moon, I'll get something. Perfect example. We were on the show last week and we were talking about the stuff supposedly with Velveteen Dream. And I don't want to rehash all that again, but do you remember what I had said towards the end? Once I got everybody caught up to speed, I didn't hear about it, what all went down. Do you remember what I said shortly after that? I said, guys, before we're so quick to go on social media and we're ready to bash the fuck out of somebody, let's learn from history. Let's learn from what went down with Enzo Amore and that girl, and how it turns out she was crying wolf, and there was a whole bunch of shit that was going on with her that was inconsistent as fuck. Her own fucking best friend even gave her ass up and said, this bitch lying. I got the proof. It's on my cell phone here. Look at this shit. And, the amount of scrutiny that we had put Enzo Amore through, and I find it funny that, those people that were putting him under the microscope were also the same people that when it counted the most and the man was owed an apology, they were nowhere to be found. You can go back, very consistent. Myself, handful of other shows were very consistent in how we tried to be as neutral as possible with talking about what was going on and telling people, we gotta follow where this goes. And I said with Velveteen Dream, let's continue to just watch this from afar, not make any comments until we definitively, okay, here's this. Don't be Perry Mason about it, but okay, more concrete stuff we can get, the better. So I know that's our favorite pastime. We, for some of us, we want to deal with speculation and we want to speculate about what was going on with Jerry Lawler and I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to deal with, well, why was Jerry Lawler not on commentating this week? Here's something that most people aren't even thinking about. Did maybe Jerry Lawler not do color commentating for this week's show because maybe he had other freaking responsibilities? Is that maybe the case? Is it because not for nothing, but when you go back, yeah, we did have Lawler that was hosting the contract signing between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. So it's not like, Jerry Lawler wasn't at the building. He was used for that particular segment and everything. But I'm going to allow Jerry Lawler to, in his own words, tell that story. I'm not going to be on this show. And see, that's the biggest thing that I think all podcasters, anybody that talks wrestling, from here on out, it's one thing if you want to give a personal opinion, but to speculate and you don't have no sources and all that other shit, it's like, that's how a lot of damage gets done these days. Jerry Lawler does a podcast. a lot of times when there's stuff happening in between the scenes, Jerry Lawler talks about it on his own podcast. I'm sure something that's going to be a hot topic this week is, hey, Samoa Joe's back on commentating. What's going on with Jerry Lawler? I bet you before the week is out, and if Jerry Lawler does have a podcast that's scheduled to be released this week, let him tell the story in his own words. And then based on what he says, then we can easily come right back here on the show. And we can say, okay, so this is what's going on. But I can just imagine the dirt sheets right now where they're going, Jerry Lawler removed from WWE commentating. Samoa Joe replaces him. Yeah, that's how it looks, does it not? But looks can be very, very deceptive when it's all said and done. So let's all kick back and let's get the fucking facts first. Was it great to see? Let's just take it at face value. Hey, we got Samoa Joe this week. Hey, all right. Welcome, breath of fresh air. Now, if we were also fans of Jerry Lawler's, hey, well, Jerry Lawler was on this same episode. And what's going on? How come Jerry wasn't commentating this week? Well, what was that about? Jerry Lawler does a podcast. I listen to it from time to time. I think it's a good podcast. Some things that I learn and everything, and you know, other times it's just not good this week. Let me go check out some more Cornette and Blast or Brian Last. I call him Blast though. You know, take the B in the last name there. But yeah, let's just deal with the facts. You know, but let's let Jerry Lawler. If there's a story to be told, let's Jerry Lawler. Because I've listened to enough of his podcasts. If there's something that in WWE, he'll usually talk about it on his show. So let's see if he touches on the subject this week. And then let's go from there. But at face value this week, great having Samoa Joe back at color commentating. I definitely got to admit that. Hey, while we're talking about WWE, I saw this thing from WWE Shop.com, and I want to share it with you guys. I kind of laughed my ass off when I saw this. So if you go on WWE Shop right now, if you all want a piece of WrestleMania history with regards to the Boneyard match between AJ Styles and The Undertaker, there's a WrestleMania 36 Undertaker Boneyard Edition 15 by 17 plaque. Cost $74 plus tax. Now, you can get this bad boy for 4 easy installments of $18.75. You can pre-order this right now. It's expected to be in stock as of May 13th. Yeah, I know you guys are, wait a minute. 4 installments of $18.75? That's easy. Yeah, you just add it to your cart, check out, choose Culinara, enter your debit, credit card information, pay later in 4 installments. The first payment is taken when the order is processed, and the remaining 3 are automatically taken every 2 weeks. So that's not really that bad, right? So here's the problem though. So this Boneyard Edition, it's marked. There's 536 of these. And you get a piece of the dirt that was actually used there for Taker and AJ Styles Boneyard match. It's in a little capsule. The dirt is in a little capsule. And it's part of this plaque. This plaque is not, I repeat, not signed by Undertaker and AJ Styles. And this is how it looks. I apologize for those of you that's going to be checking out the audio version of this show, so you're not able to see what I'm getting ready to show to people. But if you go to WWE Shop, you type in Undertaker, you can pretty much find it that way. But for you guys watching the webcast here, look at this. So this is how it looks. And it's not autographed. I mean, how disappointing is that? I mean, seriously. That's fucking disappointing. I mean, don't get me wrong. The plaque looks fucking cool. But to just offer dirt in a fucking Tylenol capsule? And you couldn't at least get The Undertaker to sign this? We couldn't get AJ Styles to sign this? I mean, you gotta be a mega hardcore WWE fan to even want to get this. I mean, you asked me for my personal opinion. You know, you're coming to me and you're just saying, Lee, you know, what do you think? You know, my first question to you would be, how hardcore of a WWE fan are you? Because if you are all things eat, sleep, shit, breathe WWE, then I would say go on ahead, buy it. $74, or if you want, so it doesn't sting that bad for your bank account, get it in 4 installments. Pay the $18 and, excuse me, do it like that. If you really did not give a shit, then I would say to you, you know what? You could find better things on WWE Shop, and you know, you can get something that's even more cooler than that. You can get something that includes autographs at least. I think I showed it to you guys. One of these days we got to do a actual tour of the studio here and everything. But I showed it on my social media pages. There was one Christmas where I actually had got the AJ Styles, and it was actually from WWE Shop. I got the AJ Styles plaque of the WrestleMania match that he had with Shane McMahon, and it actually had included a piece of the ring from that WrestleMania. And if I remember it right, I believe AJ and Shane both signed that. Actually, let me look at it right now. And I see AJ's signature on there. Yeah, I see his autograph on there. I'm not quite sure about Shane. I don't think Shane McMahon's is on there, but for sure AJ's signature, you know, his autograph is on there. That's original, not a reprint or anything like that. You know, they might have reprinted the images or whatever, but that's an original autograph that's on it by AJ Styles. You couldn't do something like that with one of those guys or both of those guys for your Boneyard? Come on. That's not what the fans want. Come on. But for you guys that, you know, might be interested in that, I actually have the link here. And like I said, for those of you that's going to be listening to the audio of the show, just go on WWE Shop, type in Undertaker. You can see it yourself. For those of you that's checking out the webcast of the show, I just put the link live there in the chat for you guys. So you guys could go over there, check it out a little bit more, and, you know, good luck to you. But me, this guy, I'm not buying that. You can forget that. I'm not checking that out. Fuck that. I got better things to do. Hey, let's get into some Patreon shout outs. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. Shout out to Patreon members Sean Kenter, Justin Ripstock, John Krauser, Michael Wolf, John Davis. Special shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. You want all things Marvel Super War, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Ooh, daddy, love me those games when I was playing them. I'm still pretty damn jealous that Tony Bing gets to play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch. And I'm just here, just playing with my balls, patiently waiting for something like that to come on over for Xbox, PlayStation, PC, you know, Steam, some shit like that. No, we don't get any of that. We get left out in the cold. Tony Bing, I'm jealous of you, my friend. But no, check out Tony Bing Gaming. He always does great tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews for Marvel Super War, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and Marvel Strike Force. Solid YouTube channel, great content. Has a great Patreon paywall as well. Check him out. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. Lewis, $5 a month. Be a Patreon member, get access to bonus audio, video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else, as well as exclusive shows, exclusive content on there. All right, so while we were talking about video games just then and there, you know, we were teasing video games there. So 2K, they put out a statement talking about the future for 2K when it comes to WWE video games. Now, I know that, you know, we had some questions last week that were talking about, hey, what's going on with 2K basketball? I don't know anything about. I just we're talking WWE, right? You come on. I'm a gamer, but you guys that have checked out my Twitch or seen me even mention a few games here and there, y'all know I don't mess with stuff like that. Love watching it though. You would think that I would. I do have some things I want to say too about the Last Dance episode 3 and 4 that they had did over the weekend, covering Rodman and Phil Jackson, which they did a fucking phenomenal job. But let me actually see how we're doing on Showtime here first. Looks like we've been recording now for about an hour, 8 minutes. I do want to have this be a relatively short show. I think what I'll actually do is forward that to Wednesday's show instead to talk of The Last Dance. You guys will love it. You guys will love it. But 2K, they had released a statement basically saying good news and bad news. And this is something that we touched upon from last week. Told you guys that per one of the former WWE lead game designers that has broken out news in the past about what's going on, what he's been hearing behind the scenes from very reliable sources. I'm sure he's made tons of friends when he was developing the games and everything for WWE. But we touched upon this last week, but I guess now that it's official, everybody's kind of going, oh wow, but 2K said that with regards to WWE 2K21, they're going to be skipping. So, this year, that's it. But 2K22, they're definitely going to be on that. So, the fact that they're going to be skipping essentially a whole year to try to make the game better, I have no problem with that whatsoever. As part of what they had said in their statement, I'm actually looking at it right now. A guy by the name of Patrick Gilmore is coming on board as their new executive producer, and he's going to be the lead in providing some pretty solid efforts at visual concepts. Remember, Ukes, they're gone. We knew THQ a long time ago, but Visual Concepts is the new game in town that's pretty much taken over from Ukes and everything. Patrick Gilmore is being described as having over 25 years of experience in video games, reaching all the way back to Disney's Aladdin on the Sega Genesis. That was actually a pretty good game if you guys remember. Also including franchises like Killer Instinct, another one of my all-time favorites, Medal of Honor, another one of my all-time favorites, and most recently, Amazon's New World. So he's going to be overseeing the 2K development, and I can't wait to see what they're going to be able to do. Sometimes you need something like this. I wish that Madden can do something like this as well, because I get it. It's all about fitting the needs of consumers. It's all about, we got to keep that cash flow coming in. It's part of our quarter. We got to keep it rocking. Let's not. But when you get to that point of, I got to tell you, the past couple of years, the 2K games, it just going through the motions. But this past year's was by far the worst that I've ever played. I told you guys, we went through the roster, did a live hangout, Twitch, went through the roster. Probably played the game a couple of more times after that, and then I was done. I was not impressed with what I was seeing of this game here. So they're going to be fast forwarding, and they're going to be focusing on the next 2K. I'm okay with that. Now, that's bad news, but also some good news that was mixed in there as well. Now, they realized that they got to put something out, so they've decided they're going to be going in a different direction. As 2K is saying, this fall, you all are going to be able to play WWE Battlegrounds. WWE Battlegrounds. And from what, and I got to tell you, because I really wasn't connected to social media today because, I was doing some stuff around the house. had a chance finally to sit down, now that everything is starting to get back to normal in the Sanders household, especially, with regards to money, trying to stay cash flow positive, especially during these pandemic times and everything. By the way, super chats are appreciated if you guys feel like super chats. But I was actually able to sit down and paint, and I had been trying to paint and I made a real nice dent. I was finally able to work on Rattling Rabbit, how I was picturing it in my head, but having a little bit of reservation, like, okay, now let's, oh my God, it's finally coming together. So, I was happy. But I saw what you guys saw in real time. And I see the freaking trailer for WWE 2K Battlegrounds. And I'm not going to come on here and I'm not going to say, oh, it looks stupid as fuck. And, but ever since I was a young kid, I've always wanted to toss my opponent outside of the ring and see them land in the mouth of an alligator. And now 2K has fulfilled my dreams with this upcoming WWE Battlegrounds game coming out this fall. Thank you, 2K. Sarcasm, folks. No, seriously, I'm not going to shit on this game. And I could just imagine the amount of people that are already shitting on this. I get it. But you know something? I'm going to be devil's advocate here. And I'm going to say, not for nothing, but WWE All-Stars was a fucking good game. I loved WWE All-Stars. I thought that game totally kicked fucking ass. I loved it. Oh my God, that game for me, it had such high replay value. Loved it. Yeah, some of the builds might have been, I loved it though. It kind of reminded me as if I was playing some type of I had the combination of some of my favorite wrestling games from back in the day, but it also felt as though I was playing with these larger than life, action figures kind of mixed with toy soldiers, so to speak. It kind of had all of those weird different vibes going on. And I loved the game. I loved it. And it also had shades of WrestleMania. Does anybody remember that game? That WrestleMania game that came out, that was actually a pretty damn good game as well. So for me, from a distance, okay. And not for nothing, but something else that we need to think about is, especially, so who hasn't played the 2K games in a minute, and who has, because the people that shitting on they throw it into an alligator. You got to remember something. Some of these features that we're seeing with 2K Battlegrounds, some of this is the result of what came about from this past year's 2K game. There were a lot of features, bump in the night, and there was a lot of stuff in there that people say, oh man, this is cool. Oh, this is fun. Now, stuff like this, I'll play the game for this. Yeah, this is fun. So if I were to be a fly on the wall, I hate speculating, especially after what I just said a few minutes ago. But you could almost kind of make it a foregone conclusion, especially if you played last year's 2K, you could make an educated guess. And it'd be a damn good guess. Okay, they're looking at some of these features that they rolled out and how people are positively reacting to them. Okay, and taking those same concepts essentially and putting it in a new game. Okay, fine. So I'm not going to crap on this game. I'm going to go into this as, okay, well, let's see what happens. If I can be an early tester for that game, I hope I can get in there and I can offer some feedback. Wouldn't mind doing that. But I'm not going to crap on it. Not right now. But, I listen to the fans, WWE, the greatest buzz I have heard for years. Fans want to play No Mercy. So many fans have wanted a No Mercy game with today's updated WWE roster. Fans have wanted a sequel to No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000. or WCW, with Revenge or whatever, WrestleFest even. And look, we got a gap right now that's going on with 2K as a result of, hey, okay, and that has created a great opportunity for other wrestling promotions. You got that one video game I believe it's getting ready to drop, or it's already out. Retro Wrestling, you got that game that's getting ready to drop. I'm looking forward to playing that one. I've been trying to do my best to stay on top of that one. That's getting ready to drop. Cody Rhodes was recently quoted in an interview saying, yeah, we are definitely taking this one day at a time. The goal is to ultimately put out an AEW video game. We all are, as you know, big video game fans. There's many of us on the roster that's big video game fans. We're taking our time with this. So AEW, they're definitely trying to put something out there. But there's also a company that's not getting a lot of buzz, I personally feel. And there is a production company. Let me see if I can actually pull them up, because I took the liberty of jotting down some notes here. And the company that I'm thinking of is called Virtual Basement. Virtual Basement, they've got a wrestling video game of their own that they've been working on. And I tell you, from everything that I've been able to see so far, this game, just when it's released out of the gate, it looks like it could be a top serious contender to 2K, and letting the fans know, hey, 2K ain't the only game in town. If you are trying to get that major, really cool, kick-ass wrestling fix. And everybody, you got to go out of your way, do a Bing Google search, type up Virtual Basement, and put wrestling at the end of it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But they are behind games such as Survival Evolved and Broomstick League. They are working with talents from Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, Evolve, MLW, New Japan, even more promotions. You heard me right. All of those promotions and more are saying to Virtual Basement, yeah, okay, yeah, no problem. And they're working out these deals. It's fucking awesome. So we're going to be able to see some really cool dream matchups when it's all said and done. And in some of the leaked screenshots that's available right now, you can see ROH's Shaheem Ali and O'Shea Edwards. So that's pretty badass. The roster is being described as being approximately 60 plus. Also, each character model is hand drawn. Hand drawn. Now, with regards to 2K, 2K, they do a lot of motion capturing and, for the entrances, the movements, and all that other stuff. And, when they do this the way that they do it, that's why when you stop and think about it, every single wrestler moves exactly the same and everything. But with Virtual Basement, the approach that they're doing, they're drawing out everything. I mean, they do have and I believe it's Brian Cage, and I can't think of the other wrestler that did some of the motion cap work for Virtual Basement. However, that's just being used as the foundation. It's just being used as a base. And what they're trying to do is basically draw out how these cats enter the ring, move around outside the ring, do their moves and all that. So here's a good analogy for you guys. By the time Virtual Basement is done with this game, every single wrestler that do a DDT, that DDT is gonna look exactly how you see them do the DDT when you're watching them in the respected said promotion. Whereas with WWE, 100% motion capture, and everybody's essentially moving the exact same fucking way. And Virtual Basement, with regards to how they're doing this game, no. We're going to actually draw this shit out, and we're going to fucking take our time with it. It's fucking badass how they're going about with this. And also, Also, no, that's pretty much the gist of it. That's pretty much the gist of it. I don't know what's going on with the royalty music right now, how that's gonna go. I know something that's really big amongst us creator wrestling fans is, being able to take our characters and, use, cool kick-ass music. I don't know how all that is gonna go. We'll have to wait and see. Virtual Basement, they do have for this wrestling game the PS5 in mind because they're thinking about the next gen console, and so they're designing in mind of it being released to PS5, but you still can't help but think about, well, what about Xbox? You got to capitalize on the PC version as well. So there's a lot to really look forward to, depending on what your cup of tea is right now. If you're looking forward to that retro wrestling game, that's going to be dropping relatively soon. If you're looking at these guys, see, here's the thing. These guys, they're not going to be releasing this game for another year. But everything that's been happening so far, you're looking at it and you go, you know what? These guys can take their time. Just take your fucking time. It's all good. But there's a decent amount to look forward to. Also, as part of that 2K press release, they also took the time out to thank the many fans for continuing to make WWE Supercard a great success. It's in season 6 right now. From time to time, that's a game that I do talk about. And my God, again, last week, I keep referring to last week's shows, but it's not a shameless plug. It's just, I find it interesting how, hey, set this on this show and then, wow, in a new update. And last week's shows, I was talking about how as long as I've been playing Supercard, I've never been able to get the top card in freaking Road to Glory. And they did a Road to Glory over the weekend where you got Big Show. And I said, okay, well, let me try this out. Let me see what happens. And I freaking got Big Show. I'm going, holy shit, this is cool. And so I forgot what was the other. I think it was Giants Unleashed. Giants Unleashed was where you got the first Big Show card. And I got that one. It was a WrestleMania 36 tier. I got that one. And then they rolled out Road to Glory. I'm going, okay, so we got now Road to Glory and we got to finish the men's Royal Rumble. Whew, that's a lot of, back and forth, what the hell? And so I went into Road to Glory. I said, well, yeah, what the hell? I've already done Giants Unleashed. I got the Big Show card. Let me go ahead. Let me fucking do the Road to Glory. And I finished it. And I was able to unlock the heroic Road to Glory mode. And I'm going, oh, there's no way I'm going to get the heroic upgrade. I can forget that. And I wish I could say to you guys, boy, was I wrong. I got the heroic upgrade. Wasn't able to get the heroic upgrade. Honestly, if they would have added more time, like another full day or two, I probably would have got it. But I got to tell you, I got burned out after a while. I think I made it up to the Titus O'Neil card. I didn't claim it on the heroic side. I didn't claim the Titus O'Neil card. I pretty much just stopped right there, and I'm good. But I got a pro Big Show when it's all said and done. So training it as we speak. I'm about to combine that motherfucker, and that's gonna be a pro Big Show. Hey, I'll take that. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But check this out from 2K. They were talking about Season 6 of WWE Supercard. They said that they recently achieved a milestone of more than 20 million installs of that game. 20 million installs of that game. Is that a phenomenal feature or what? I mean, that's kick-ass. And they talked about how it continues to entertain, many around the world and everything. They're very happy to work with Cat Daddy, and they're promising that they're going to be doing new card tiers, game modes, in-game events. There's going to be some exciting announcements that's going to be coming in the near future. So stay tuned was pretty much their whole message. So, you guys that's a little bit tired of, what's been happening with 2K, there are some other options that you have right now, besides, what you currently are being dealt with right now. So just kind of keep that in mind, as you guys are going forward there. All right, and a couple of little notes that we can get into. I haven't forgot about the quarterly reports. We'll probably end things with the quarter report, and then anything else we'll just dive into on Wednesday's show and everything. I want to get into right now, just going through some other quick notes here. Van Hammer, we kind of talked about him a few weeks ago. Former WCW star Van Hammer. His trial for the felony hit and run and DUI involving a 5-year-old kid, that's set to begin later this summer. Hammer, real name Mark Hildreth, he pleaded not guilty in absentia on the charges with a pre-trial hearing set for June 10th in Palm Beach County Court. If you guys recall, he was arrested earlier this year, around June, after his car allegedly struck a 5-year-old boy on a bicycle down in Florida. The boy was admitted to the hospital with road rash and possible internal injuries. Hammer, who allegedly got out of the car and said the boy jumped out in front of him before driving away, was arrested and charged with driving under the influence along with felony hit and run with failure to stop in a crash involving others and serious bodily injuries, and most importantly leaving the scene of a injury crash. So unfortunately this guy already has a history, as he had 2 previous DUIs that's on his record, one going back to 1985 in Texas and one in 2004 in Georgia. Now some people could say, well, 85, 04, that's a bit of a gap there. You kind of, but I mean, it don't get no uglier than what he just did this go round. Come on, man. Stupid. He was ordered not to have contact with the boy or any potential witnesses, not to use drugs or alcohol or carry illegal weapons, and to make himself available for random testing. Right now he's out on a $50,000 bond. So, what do they teach us in driving school? What do they teach us? They teach us, no matter what, do not leave the scene of a accident. No matter what, especially a hit and run, no matter what, do not leave. But when you got a case where you've been drinking and you're behind the wheel, yeah, the odds of you having best judgment, it's pretty much gonna fly out the fucking window, sadly. And it's there's no excuse, and yet here we are, and we got this guy. But in 2020, I don't care who you are, in 2020, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. If you're gonna drink, dear fucking God, just call a friend, tell them you've been drinking, ask them if they can come pick you up, take you home, leave your car where it is, leave your keys with them, and basically when you've slept it off, get your keys from your friend in the morning, go get taken to a hotel, or depending on how the weather is, maybe you can just sleep in your car, just be parked somewhere, sleep in your car. There's no excuse. Uber, Lyft, no fucking excuse. And yet we get situations like this where we're kind of reminded, well, there's still some dumbasses out there. And yeah, I'm a firm believer in, if you do something, and I hope that we do one day get to that point, but yeah, my estimation, my takeaway, I hope that we're able to get to that point where if you do a hit and run and you leave the scene of the crime, intoxicated or not, your ass needs to just have your license be taken away from you for an extended period of time. Maybe you can come back in 3 years. If that person that sadly was hit by your vehicle, if they come out okay and you just left the scene of the crime, scene of the accident, 2-3 years, suspended license, come on back. The life is lost. You never get your license again, as far as I'm concerned. You never fucking get your license again. But I'll continue to watch that very carefully, because I'm curious how that is going to be playing out there. Also, Luke Gallows, is taking ownership of, this will give you guys a chuckle, his Sex Ferguson gimmick. He filed a trademark application for it. He filed this last week, as a matter of fact, through his WrestleMerica company. So it's obvious where he's going to be going with regards to that one. So, wish him the best of luck with that. And also, let's get into some WWE quarter reports here. So we're going to end it on this now. I want to talk about these quarter reports. There's loads more we get into, but I want to save most of it for the Wednesday show since we got to turn right back around anyway. So I know we've been on for about 90 minutes. We'll probably go about another 10, maybe 11 minutes, and then we're pretty much done. So let's talk about these WWE quarter one earnings report here. This is interesting. I was taking down some notes here, seeing everything that was coming about from this. So I am seeing here that the WWE Network subscriber numbers, check this out, the WWE subscriber numbers, they got 1.46 million. That's down from 8%. Now, remember when the WWE Network launched? I mean, it's been a long running gag. Man, all these years and these guys can't even crack 2 million subs for their network. What the hell is going on here? But that went down. Kind of weird when you think about it. I'm more curious how quarter two is going to be. I know that with the pandemic, quarter two is definitely going to be taking some hits, but I'm very curious with regards to the network growth, how much, if at all, that will grow, because a lot of people are teleworking right now. So a lot of people working remotely from home right now, or a lot of people that's just at home right now with their family. So I'm very curious if the subscriber count is going to be going up. We'll have to wait for that next quarter report and see how that goes. But some of the highlights that went down here, again, this is for quarter one. Quarter one, revenues increased 60% to 291 million compared to the prior year quarter. Operating income was 53.3 million as compared to a loss of 6.8 million in the prior year quarter. Adjusted OIBDA increased to 77.3 million from 12.4 million in the prior year quarter. There was an announced multi-year distribution agreements with Sony Pictures Networks in India and DAZN in Germany to extend the reach of WWE content across television and digital platforms. Digital video views increased 25% to 9.6 billion, and hours consumed increased 15% to 344 million across digital and social media platforms. So hone in on that. How are people going about, checking out content now? It's all about that content digitally. So, that's rightfully expected. If you're expecting huge numbers in one particular area, that's the one where you're expecting, no excuses, WWE should really be able to capitalize on the most there. What I'm most interested in is how was the retention time for a lot of that content put out there digitally on platforms such as Facebook or on Twitter or even on YouTube, because it's one thing if we see a particular segment from Raw or SmackDown and we're watching what was originally a 5-minute segment, and that 5-minute segment has been uploaded to YouTube and everything, and you're seeing that it's getting 4, 5, 6, 7 million fucking views and everything, and you're just going, man, the money that's coming in off of that for the monetization, man, it's killer fucking good. But you can't help but wonder, well, how is the retention of that? Are people watching at least almost 70% of that video? What's the average length of time where people are tuning out? Are they, if it's a 5-minute clip, are they backing out after the first 30 seconds? Are they there almost 2 minutes in and then they clock out? And what's going on there? Now, due to the COVID-19, as we all know, Vince McMahon and crew, they did say that, moving forward, that, obviously when they go into the quarter two reports, that's where the real story is going to be and everything. But they did talk about how the company had implemented a lot of steps going forward as far as short-term cost reductions, cash flow improvement actions, and everything. This includes reducing executive and board member compensations, decreasing operating expenses, cutting third-party staffing, consulting, and talent costs, and reducing employee headcount in the form of furloughs, which we all had saw that went down from last week and everything. To enhance liquidity, management deferred spending on the company's new headquarters, reducing 2020 capital expenditures by $140 million, temporarily suspending the repurchase of stock under its $500 million program, and drew $200 million from its revolving credit facility after quarter end. Management continues to believe the company's growth prospects remain strong and that WWE is well positioned to take full advantage of the changing media landscape and increasing value of live sports rights over the longer term. Now, Vince McMahon, he was quoted here with regards to the outbreak. This is what he had said, and I quote, "Our first quarter financial performance was strong and largely unimpacted by the COVID-19 outbreak. Now we are in the midst of unprecedented times, which require us to be especially nimble, creative, and efficient. In order to ensure the long-term value of WWE, we are taking precautions to protect the health and safety of our performers and staff as we produce content in new ways, engage fans with a much-needed diversion, and operate effectively in this evolving environment." Now, something else that was very interesting about this conference call that Vince McMahon had, the question was, of course, addressed about live events. And Vince McMahon was quoted as saying, as far as the future of live events go, we can't really say for certain, as much as, we would like to get back on the saddle again, have fans come to the show and everything. As far as the future holds for live events, it basically, his whole thing was, it may change as we know it, how we're going about filming the shows right now. And, there's no estimation. And the way he answered it, he wasn't blanketing it. He wasn't sugarcoating it. I thought the statement he put out there was a smart statement, but also the right statement to make from this standpoint, because it's not just like with football games, basketball games, hockey games, baseball games. You can't just flip a switch. All right, everybody, back to normal. Let's go to these. It's not going to be like that. And so you just can't help but wonder, once things finally do slowly get back to normal, how live sporting events, that includes WWE, they can call themselves sports entertainment and all they want, but you rely on fan participation. You rely on your live crowds. If I'm WWE, I think it makes all the right sense in the world to try to go with smaller venues to get a really good gauge on where exactly the fans are post COVID-19. Are they back in full effect? Is things going to be pretty strong? And I don't think any wrestling promotion, including WWE, I don't really think they're going to be the same. It's not going to be business as usual before everything had went down. So, hopefully, as far as the long-term picture goes, hopefully WWE is strongly giving great consideration to, instead of going to the Verizon Center, okay, maybe, we should do something at the, 9:30 Club or at the Anthem, or you get what I'm saying. Some people may say the Anthem, the 9:30 Club, the Anthem, but you get the point that I'm making. Smaller venues, for the foreseeable future. They might need to do that, but then you also got to think about the domino effect and everything, because if what you were making initially off of the fans for the live gates, obviously when you finally do hit that switch of fans, we want you back, come on, pandemic is essentially over, you can come back to live events again. You can't expect fans that are still respectfully recovering financially from everything that's been happening. You cannot expect them to willingly come out of their pockets. Okay, you're trying to sell me a great seat front row, but that's gonna be what, $5,000. Fuck out of here. You're gonna have to cut prices all across the boards when it comes to those live events. Yeah, it was kind of good right before the pandemic and everything. You saw what was going on with WWE over the course of the past couple of years. The history shows that WWE was trying to increase their ticket prices to try to make up for the fact that the gate wasn't quite the same compared to 5 years ago, 3 years ago, or what have you. So now that you've got this shit going on, and you got to think about post-apocalypse, once things are getting back to normal and everything, you're gonna have to throw that formula out the window, and you're gonna have to come down on your prices. But then it's a domino effect when you stop and think about it, because when you cut down the prices for the live gates, we got to remember, think of that tree that I was talking about from a couple of weeks ago. Think about that family tree. So with the XFL, remember that? I went down the family tree as far as the payouts, how it was affecting everybody and everything. So obviously the talents are going to want a piece of the action of the live gate. So that obviously is not going to quite be the same as it was before all this shit went down. So you got to somehow try to figure out a way to balance that out, and balance it out in a way that will make the talents most happy. But then you also got to think about what's best for you and your bottom dollar, because at the end, the house needs to be making a profit as well. But then you got to be thinking about the people that you're renting these spaces from, and you got to figure out, okay, well, what can we get away with as far as how little we want to pay, where's our save right now under the circumstances. But then the people that are in charge of that building, they've got responsibilities as well, lights. I mean, it's just a big old fucking domino effect when you really stop and think about it. There's going to have to be a lot of meeting of the minds and a lot of understanding and everything. These are going to be some very interesting times that's going to be coming for promotions like WWE going forward and everything. So that's just some of the things that I'm going to be peeping out and I'm going to be paying attention to. I mean, look, we got our first, as far as I know, of this year, we got our first announcement of a WWE DVD that's going to be hitting the stores very soon. I'm not sure if you guys had heard about this, but May 12th, this past year's WrestleMania, will be available on DVD. And that's the first time in a long time, besides, hearing about the previous year's WrestleMania DVD. But when you really just stop and think about it, it's been a good minute since we've heard of, WWE DVD releases. And quite honestly, I wish that WWE would get back into the groove of things. I would love to see them go back to those times when stuff was coming out on DVD. Now more than ever, I think there is a great need for that, especially during these times. If you're trying to figure out ways of making money right now, I hate to, but I got to think like that, because that's what WWE is thinking right now. We've got people that, again, are working remotely from home. A lot of people are working from home. They're spending as much time with their family as possible, binge watching on a lot of stuff. And I know WWE is so quick to the network. But you should also be thinking about, okay, well, what can we put out there that's going to make people rush to the stores? And see, this is where it gets tricky right now, because depending on the store, well, you aren't deemed essential, so we're going to shut you down. You can't be open right now. So, there's going to have to be some workarounds that WWE is going to have to try to do right now. I'm surprised they didn't get on top of it a lot sooner. Maybe this was just a touch and go type of situation. But my whole thing is the way that we go about getting our content these days. I still feel that DVDs is popular, contrary to the fact of video on demand, blah, blah, blah. I say if you can capitalize and it's not going to cost you that much from a production cost standpoint, go ahead and put the shit out there on DVD. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to be able to take advantage of DVD. You got to be able to take advantage. What's the new thing now that people are doing when they get these DVDs? On top of being able to buy the DVD, put it in their player, they also like the ability to play it in their iTunes or have a version that they can download for their tablet device, Android, iOS. Those are the new things now that people are going with. WWE, for the most part, they've done a really good job in embracing technology like that. But if you really want to maximize on the dollar, you really got to go back to embracing stuff like that even more and really pushing the envelope there, as far as I'm concerned. So, however you can go about making that money, but it's not gonna be the same like it was before. I don't think. I'm not. I hope that things can, but I don't know. If you were to ask me straight up, I'm just not seeing it going back to normal. I think it could be a couple of years. Maybe up to 3 years tops. Because just like with once things get back to normal, what you think we're going to be able to go back to the movie theaters once again and it's just going to be back to business as you? Fuck no. Everything that's going on right now, you could pretty much forget about that. It's not going to be the same. But AEW, I think for where they've been performing so far, I think they're going to be okay. I think that the honeymoon period with the fans is still out there. People that are very curious and they want to give this new car that's AEW a test drive. I think that's still going to be there and everything. I gotta tell you, and we'll get into it a little bit more on Wednesday. I'm a little bit taken back by some of the numbers that I'm seeing for the shows, particularly for Wednesday nights. A little bit wow. I'm a little bit concerned with what I'm seeing there. Do ratings matter? Yeah, ratings do matter. I've always said that. Ratings matter. For me, ratings matter from this standpoint, and I've always been consistent with this. Ratings do matter because these networks, these television networks, they need to see progress. Because they're the ones that have inked these deals with these wrestling promotions, and they want to see the ad revenue, they want to see growth and everything. You got to be able to go to these television executives when it comes time to get that freaking contract renewal. You need to be able to say, hey, this is why you need to continue to work with us, because in the 3 years since we've signed on board with you all, we've been number one in the 18 to 49 age demographic, amongst, men, and women. Hey, when you look at the top 150 shows of the night, we're constantly in the top 50 or, blah this, blah that. Hey, for, our respective quarter segments, this segment, it went up against whatever the hit show is at that time that's on with them. Hey, we beat them by, blah, 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 for blah, blah, blah consecutive weeks. To be able to see the growth, they need to be able to see the pros, as far as why they should, continue to work with this production company, in this case with WWE for XYZ. You get the point that I'm making. So ratings do matter. I know that for some wrestling fans, they say that the ratings don't matter, they don't care. And I've always said for years that if ratings didn't matter, some of your favorite shows would still be on the air. Sliders, Party of Five. One of my all-time favorite shows, Brimstone, with John Glover and Peter Horton. It would have lasted longer than one season. Quantum Leap would have been able to keep going. Hill Street Blues would have been able to keep going. Some of your all-time favorite shows would have lasted a lot longer than just having one season or whatever. So it does matter, maybe not to the extent of what the fans have been thinking as far as the ratings go, but the ratings do matter for those production companies. So I'm very curious to see what's going to be happening with WWE going into quarter 2 to see how much of an impact this COVID-19 has had on them. How much revenue, I'm curious how much did they lose, because we're going to know by quarter 2. And look, the big saving grace for WWE this go round, as far as the quarter 1 goes, what they were able to do with Saudi Arabia for the Super Showdown event, working out a new deal with them. Remember that? We had mentioned that as news on the show. They had extended their deal with the Saudi prince and everything. I forget how long that's going to go up until. I believe it's going to go up until maybe 2029 or some shit like that. So you've got that's going on. The deal that they inked out with Fox that officially had went into effect and everything. So it was a good quarter 1 for WWE from those standpoints. But to really get a better understanding of what's been going on with them with quarter 2, sadly we're not going to know about quarter 2 until probably early July, maybe, is when we're going to know. So going to stay tuned for that one. But I thought of all the things that really came out of that conference call, I thought the most interesting thing was what Vince had said about the talents. And there was part of him that tried to also talk about, we don't have Brock Lesnar, we don't have Goldberg. It's like, well, not for nothing, but even when guys like Bill Goldberg have been promoted, guys like Brock Lesnar have been promoted, it's not as though your numbers are through the fucking roof. We've still seen with our own 2 eyes that the ratings, the viewership has been bad, even with those guys that's included on the show. So, for me, it's like, nah, try again. And what we've been currently seeing right now with WWE, them trying to break in a lot of these guys that are relatively new for the casual wrestling fan. I mean, the hardcore wrestling fan is always going to be there, but what about for that casual wrestling fan? What about maybe for that new wrestling fan? That's where WWE is currently having a problem right now, which is establishing the mega stars and everything. And I mean, make no mistake about it, we're never gonna get back to the point, contrary to how some people may feel about Attitude Era. It's like we're never gonna get back to that point again, especially with the way the numbers were back then. I mean, we could dream about it, but it's never gonna get to that point ever again. But it's a telling tale when you can just look at the numbers from 3 years ago and be saying to yourself, what happened? Where did X amount of people go? Especially during these times when a lot of people are more at home and yet they're not making the investment to check out the product. If there was ever a time to have some really good, strong, solid numbers showing really good growth, it's definitely right now. And for whatever respected reasons, it's not there. things that make you go, not to bore you guys with the numbers, but, I know a majority of you guys, you appreciate the show and everything, and I know there's a lot of you guys, you like little stuff like that when we go into, and not for nothing, but we usually do it once a quarter anyway, so it's kind of nice to, take a different turn here and there on the show. But again, a lot more we can get into, but that's going to be for the Wednesday show. So once again, we will be live Wednesday, the new time, 11 p.m. You guys know we'll be live then talking about fallout from AEW Dynamite, NXT. I'll actually go a little bit into it with Impact Wrestling. We'll talk about them, other little wrestling tidbits, non-wrestling related tidbits. We'll even get a little political on that show, as a former pro wrestler is eyeing maybe getting into the world of politics once again. We'll talk about all of that on Wednesday's show. But in the meantime, be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Appreciate Purple. Appreciate Seymour. And everybody else that was checking out the show live tonight. Appreciate that as always. Appreciate those of you that's going to be checking out the show on demand and on the downloads. You can get at me on Twitter, Facebook. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Again, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. And that's it. Until next go round, I'm wishing all of you guys to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Audio version of this won't be available until Tuesday night. I promise you guys, Tuesday night, this will be available. But until then, much love. And please, stay the fuck at home. Night, everybody.